And good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 79 of the Nerds Unite as One podcast. I am Paul English. I'm your host tonight. And this is episode 4, our final episode of Let's Get Shitty Month. And we have a unique episode to wrap it up. To help out with it, I have a good nice panel that I'm going to introduce to you, beginning with Colton Hunt. Colton, how are you?
Hi, I'm sorry I missed last week's episode. My previous record of show appearances, I have to start all over again now. And I've traded in my ruined Shield shirt for a simple all black shirt to represent how bleak this movie's look on life is.
Quite appropriate, I must say. Mike Gulick from Geek Salad is also joining us again. Mike, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be back. And I brought in my cute little Batman shirt. Bring in some levity to the rather bleak show.
All right, guys. So, to close out Let's Get Shitty Month, we are going to be revisiting a movie that we discussed back in March. Or was it early April? I can't remember. But anyway, back in late March, we reviewed Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice the week after it came out. And if you happen to watch that episode, you know that the consensus is pretty much the same. It was a thoroughly disappointing movie. However, last week, last week, the director's cut was released on Blu-ray. It's around 30 minutes of additional in the theatrical cut. So, was it? Did the director's cut salvage this piece of shit movie? We are gonna find that out tonight. So, gentlemen, I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna ask you one question, and all I want to hear is a yes or no answer, and we'll get into the details later. In your opinion, was the director's cut better than the theatrical version? I say yes. Colton?
Sort of.
Mike?
No.
Okay, so kind of split across the board. Okay, so Colton, and I'm going to come to you first then. What was it about the director's cut, in your opinion, that was sort of better than the theatrical version?
So, I think that I liked how it gave Clark, or Superman, a bit more to do compared to the theatrical cut. Like, in the theatrical cuts, his subplot surrounding his sort of hatred for Batman kind of just gets kickstarted out of nowhere. He sees a news report about the Bat brand of justice being a death sentence, and then he's just staring at it, and he's like, with that look in his face, is like, Batman, I'm gonna fight you. And then, yeah, that's about it. But in the director's cut, first off, that scene was actually changed to him seeing a news report about a woman criticizing Superman, saying, how does he get to decide who lives or dies? I think that played at a different point in the theatrical cut. So, in the movie, at first, Soup says Clark has no real opinion on Batman, but until he's sent to Gotham by Perry to at first investigate, a football game between Metropolis and Gotham and all that jazz. And once he gets to Gotham, we actually get to see he gets to see how people react to what people think about Batman. Some people are afraid of him and what have you. And this one guy says there's a new kind of mean in him. He's angry and he's hunting. And I felt like that gave Superman a bit more of his subplot was given better context, I guess you could say now, as we also got to see him doing some actual journalism as opposed to his entire investigation happening off screen and what have you. Because the second time we see him in the theatrical cut, the second time the Batman subplot gets brought up, he's already done his investigative work and all that jazz, and it felt like just a very rushed way to get him involved with the subplot, like to get him and Batman in each other's crosshairs and whatnot. And we also see him visiting the wife of the man that was branded by Bruce and killed in prison by, as it turns out, Lex paid off one of the criminals had one of the criminals in the jail killed the guy for some reason or another. And I liked how when he went to visit the woman, she was like, she was upset and all that jazz because even though he wasn't a good man, he still didn't deserve to be executed like that, she felt. And she said the only thing that Batman would understand is a fist. And I felt like that kind of gave better context to why Superman decided to stop trying to reason with Batman during their titular fight and what have you. Like, at first I was thinking when I saw the film in theaters, can't Superman just attack it? Can't you just restrain him and try to explain himself? But I felt like with all the information we got now, he sort of now realizes that Batman probably is beyond reasoning with after his first couple of attempts at trying to reach to him. So yeah, that's mainly the bit I think was helped the best by the Ultimate Edition is that Batman and Superman being in each other's crosshairs was done much better. It wasn't like something sort of only vaguely done like in the film, and it made Clark feel a bit more like a character as opposed to a plot device for the most part. And he also got an extra scene in with Martha, and Martha Kent, I like her and all that jazz, I like Martha Kent, so yeah, always a pleasure to have her in the film.
All right. Yeah, for the most, yeah, I would agree with you on that. It makes more sense. The Ultimate Cut, the director's cut, does make more sense. So in that respect, I do find it better. There's no longer, there's not as many plot holes. There's, give this movie credit. We actually see Clark Kent do something that, to my knowledge, he's never done in any of his other films, which is be a fucking reporter. I mean, it only took, 7 movies for us to see that? So, credit where credit is due. Nice job, Warner Brothers. You finally did that, right?
7 movies in 20-something years.
Oh, 30. Yeah, 30, actually, but, close.
Yeah.
Who's counting? So, yeah, they did that right. Lex Luthor's plan was a lot more intricate and detail-oriented than I remembered in the theatrical, which I'll get to how I feel about that later, but yeah. So yeah, it made more sense. So from that respect, yes, it is better. At least I think so. Okay, Mike, you said it did nothing to improve it, so why was that? What did you not like about what was about any of the added stuff that you felt did not do anything to change your mind about it?
Well, first of all, if you want to see a really good example of Clark Kent being a journalist, right there.
That's some Randy Animated series. Good show.
That was one of the best portrayals of Superman ever.
Agreed,
and
100%.
Yeah, but anyway, the movie. Okay, so Batman v Superman: The Ultimate Cut. Narrative-wise, yes, the Ultimate Cut was better because it added in scenes that connected other scenes a little bit more. But what really kind of made me think that the Ultimate Cut was actually worse than the theatrical cut is what the scenes that they added in did. What the scenes that they added in was just take what was, in my opinion, the worst part of the movie and amplified that part, which was Lex Luthor and his impossible, completely implausible, and overly complex plot, which makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, it's like, okay, so if this happens, and if this happens, then maybe this will happen. But if this happens, then my plot can continue. Hey, yeah, good, it happened. That's just poor screenwriting, and it's just amplified in the Ultimate Cut. I mean, every scene I see Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, I just want to go. You are. I want to give you the biggest wedgie in the world right now. It was so irritating. It's like, somebody give that guy some Ritalin, please.
Red capes are coming! The red capes are coming!
Oh my word! I mean, he has knowledge about things he should have there is no logical way that he should have this knowledge. Yet he does, because he has to have that knowledge in order for us to plan to succeed. That's just piss poor screenwriting. And did the movie make more sense? Was the narrative better? Yes, but if you take a jar of piss, you can put whatever sticker you want on it. It's still a jar of piss, and that's what we got. We just got a jar with a bit more piss in it.
Well, before we go on, something else about something else that I thought was done better in this movie was at the very end when when Batman confronts Lex in jail, and Lex is like, I'm too mentally I'm not fit to go to trial. They'll probably send me to a mental institution. And Batman said, I'm sending you to Arkham Asylum. I'm like, damn. That was actually a pretty good.
Well, I saw that one coming a mile away. As soon as they start talking about mental, insane asylum, I'm like, okay, so when is Arkham Asylum going to come in? There it is.
Well, I still found it to be pretty badass, mainly because, well, Batfleck was the best part of the movie.
Indeed.
That's still. Right. Well, we'll get to that problem later. Your turn.
Yeah. All right. So, yes, granted, it did make sense, and I will admit now let's get to the point. Now let's get to the stuff that the director's cut did not fix, and obviously, the biggest problems. I don't think anything could have been done to fix it. And Mike alluded to one. It was Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm sorry, but I mean, Mike. While I disagree with you about his plan, like. I thought it was an absolute, for lack of a better, it was a Lex Luthor type plan. It was cunning, it was intricate, it was a Lex Luthor type plan to me, but every time I saw this guy, like, why is he acting like the fucking Joker, for God's sake? Like, even at his most cruel, Lex Luthor has always been a cold, intimidating, calculating badass. Why do they look like the fucking guy? Like, as Mike Luthor, every time I wanted to see this guy, I'm like, fuck you! I wanted to see this motherfucker. That was a little toy I got. I wanted to be James Bond for Halloween once. Never turned out that way. Anyway, so yeah, that, and the biggest problem I had with this movie was it tried to do. Warner Brothers tried to do in one movie what Marvel did in 5 movies, which is set up the entire DC extended universe. And the problem with that is when you're trying to put that much setup into one movie, you're taking away key time from the real reason we all came to see this movie, which is Batman and Superman fighting. And
for
even that was not done well because their real war is essentially, it's over their ideologies. They want the same goal. It's how they go about getting it. That's what makes their rivalry so intense. Like, even when they seem like they're best friends, and Superman, and there have been times where they've acknowledged, yes, they are friends, but the way they go about their job is so different, and that's where the conflict, like, that's what makes it fun, and that's why we want to see them fight. This was not done well. That fight. Yeah, as cool looking as it was, it made no sense because unlike in The Dark Knight Returns, where there was a reason Batman was drawing out the fight, he wasn't trying to kill Superman. He was trying to keep him distracted until his master plan could be laid out. This one, he makes no secret. He's trying to kill him. So my question, why didn't you take the fucking spear and just stab him through the chest in the first place, you moron? Ended right there. This Batman is just too smart for that. He would have gone for the killing blow right away.
Yeah,
so that would piss me off about that fight.
How it should have ended actually addressed that by showing in their video they had him just create kryptonite bullets, and he attacks Clark with those real guns like right at the start of the fight. They're like, why didn't he just bullet them with kryptonite bullets then?
Yeah. I mean,
that was my biggest issue. Is like, why did he attack him with regular weaponry at the start of his fight? All that did was annoy Superman. He's like, I'm thinking, you're lucky that Clark's not in a bad mood right now. Otherwise, he would have snapped your fucking neck right then and there.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it did not solve any of those problems. It did not solve the too much setup problem. And listen, sometimes you can't cram that much into one little film because it didn't work. I'm sorry, but it didn't work. The reason why Marvel worked because all those 5 standalone movies before the Avengers, yes, they were setting up for the Avengers, but there was so little of it in each movie, but yet it worked, and each movie was able to feel like a standalone. And most of the setup was actually done in the post-credit scene. So maybe DC should adopt post-credit scenes because it seems to fucking work. So that way you can set it up at the end while keeping the main storyline focused on the character you want. So anyway.
And then have Wonder Woman look at the email setup.
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. That's when they should have done it.
Yeah, the one. Right. Sorry.
So that's where I felt the director's cut still failed. Colton, what was the biggest problem you had with the director? Like, what did the director's cut not fix to you?
I felt like, in a way, the director's cut adding, well, we got more context for certain scenes. It also really dragged it kind of slowed the pace of the movie down at the same time. And as such, certain scenes felt, where they were okayish in the movie, felt just, take Wonder Woman. Yeah, like take Wonder Woman, for example. She feels more tacked on in the Ultimate Cut than she did in the theatrical cut, because since there's so much more stuff going on, she doesn't show up until much later into the movie. And when she did show up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot Wonder Woman was in this film.
Hello.
Scotch trade joke right there. It's like, I forgot she was in the movie, and since there was so much more going on, when we finally saw her looking at the email containing all the Justice League stuff, it made me actually think, why did Bruce actually email the rest of the Justice League stuff as an attachment to her? And also, when she joins in on the fight, when she actually joins in on the fight at the end, it just felt even more tacked on, I guess you could say, because there was just so much more happening in the film. And Clark's subplot concerning his investigation into Bruce, while it made the movie better, it also made it worse at the same time, because it goes into all this detail about, setting them up, putting them in each other's crosshairs. But in the end, it actually doesn't really amount to anything, because Lex just kidnaps Clark's mom and he's like, fight Batman or else. Like, fight Batman or else. I'm thinking, I could have let that go if he kidnapped Martha and then made it seem like Batman did it. Because Clark obviously would have bought it. He was like, you kidnapped my mom, and then Batman probably would have denied it, and Clark, believing him to be a murderous vigilante, wouldn't have believed them, and then they would have gone at it. That would have made their fight much more intense, But as it stands, when we saw them fighting in the movie, it just didn't feel as dramatic as it should have been. I mean, it had a dark atmosphere and everything. Bruce was clearly pissed as all hell, but it just didn't feel like the fight was earned.
No, it wasn't.
Like the theatrical, like the Ultimate Cut, thanks to there being more time devoted to Clark's subplot and him thanks to the more time being devoted to Clark's subplot, it just makes the fight feel even lesser than it did in the theatrical cut and what have you. And so it almost makes you appreciate that they cut all that time out of Clark's subplot in the theatrical cut, but it also doesn't make you appreciate it. It's like, if Zack Snyder had to cut anything from the movie, it should have been Lois Lane's subplot. I mean, it feels even longer in this movie than it did in the original one, than it did in the theatrical cut. And speaking of which, the Africa scene, that is a scene that feels better and worse at the same time as well. Because, like, as we all know, we actually find out that the photographer that was with Lois was fucking Jimmy Olsen.
That fucking pissed me off.
Yeah,
what
it's like,
the fuck, Snyder?
Yeah, you know why he killed off Jimmy Olsen, right?
Because he said he couldn't think of anything to do with him.
Yeah, he couldn't think of anything to do with it, so let's just get rid of him. Who knows?
Fuck you, Snyder.
I'm thinking, you put him in the CIA. That's like the most creative use of Jimmy I've seen in years. Why didn't you do something with that? It's like, we'll just make him part of the CIA, then bam, he's dead. Let's move on. And that's another thing. I didn't say this during the original viewing, but have you noticed how during our original show? But have you noticed how Zack Snyder really played loose with plays very loose with these characters? It's like,
that's because he doesn't give a shit about them.
Like, Mercy Graves died, Jimmy Olsen died, Superman's dead. I mean, give me a break, Zach.
No, seriously, that's the thing. Like, and he admitted this himself. When he was growing up, he did not read any official DC comic, or he tried to, but he was bored out of his mind. The comics he grew up reading were these, like, for lack of a better term, these, like, alternate comics, where everything was much more graphic and violent. There was a lot more, blood and cursing and even erotic themes. I mean, even he admitted.
I don't know
if you saw
so much about all of his movies.
Even he admitted if he had a chance to direct The Dark Knight Rises, there would have been a scene where Batman got raped. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm looking like, wait a minute, Warner Brothers, you knew this ahead of time. This is the guy you trusting to lead the DC Extended Universe, to take the greatest collection of heroes of all time and finally put them together on the big screen. This is the guy you're trusting? What the fuck?
It's like, I know he didn't write the movie, but still, I mean, he's the director. He had to have some say in the script, though. But dang, this is just.
I just hope they come to their senses and, if not fire him, because it's too late to fire him for Part 1 of Justice League Elite, cut his power. I know they gave more to Ben Affleck, they gave more to Jeff Johns. Bring some more people in to actually cut his power. Because this guy cannot fucking direct these kind of movies. Put him back with 300. He can do that well, but not these characters. No.
Indeed. And also, even in this cut, the Martha scene still doesn't do it for me.
It's fucking bullshit.
Martha!
It's like my memories are spotty on the Martha scene, so I thought maybe it'll seem better on my rewatch now. But no, I'm like, yes, I remember it exactly as it happened. He says, "Save Martha," and since we actually get Clark some subplot about his investigation into the what he believes to be murderous bat vigilante, why does he assume that this murderous guy is going to listen to him and give a crap when he says, "Save Martha"?
Yeah. All right, Mike. So, obviously, the director's cut did not improve things for you as much as it did for Colton and myself. So, why don't you go ahead and explain what things it did not improve on?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, it just gave more credence to that stupid and impossible plan by Lex Luthor. I mean, I get you. I mean, there are parts of it that are cool if they decided to go with it, but ultimately they decided, you know what? He did this whole huge plan for 90% of the movie. Let's just chuck all that away and have him kidnap his mother. Sounds good. Yeah, cool. I mean, dude. Well, I mean, he slaughtered an entire village in Africa. He bribed this woman to testify falsely, and then he tries to kill him, and then he kills her. I mean, as soon as he kills that woman, he's like, you know what? There are going to be questions that are going to lead right back to you. So obviously your plan was not thought out all that much, because as soon as they find that body, he's like, wait a second, that woman is there. They would look into her, like, okay, no, her parents are still alive. They live in the Brooklyn. Okay, wait. So this woman was paid off somehow. So it's going to lead right back to Lex. I mean, and so that part was stupid. I mean, and all the little chess pieces he was moving around. In the end, he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's kidnap her mother. Okay, cool. Done. I mean, even the whole trying to pit Superman against Batman. Okay, so that's all going to work together. How are we going to finish it up? Mother? Cool. Good. Got it. Done. It just makes no sense. And it ultimately, this huge plot line ultimately proves completely unnecessary to the entire movie. And plus, it makes it that Lex Luthor is smarter than fucking Batman. No one is smarter than fucking Batman. I mean, he's able to manipulate Bruce Wayne like he's like a little puppet. Like, dude, I would think when you started seeing all the letters with all the handwriting, you'd think maybe Bruce was like, wait a second, this is tapping into my emotions. Someone's trying to play me. Maybe I shouldn't go after Maybe I shouldn't go after Superman. Maybe I should go after this douchebag. But no, let's not put that in because Lex Luthor is smarter. No, he's not. I didn't much care for the regular theatrical cut, but at least it didn't throw in all this useless crap that ultimately doesn't do anything to help the movie. It's just a bunch of more useless plot pieces that they decide, fuck it, let's get up mother. Done. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. The only thing I could maybe like possibly argue with you about that would be like going back to like all those letters that Bruce like, okay, this is tapping on my emotion. The only thing I can think of to maybe justify why it turned out that way, like why Batman did not immediately connect this to Lex, and like I said, this is the only thing I can is because for whatever, maybe he was so fixated on is Superman a threat or not that maybe he just wasn't thinking. And, granted, that doesn't sound like Bruce Wayne, but this is an older Bruce Wayne.
And this is also the Batman decided, you know what?
Guns are okay.
Maybe a gun is all right. Maybe I can kill people, and it'll kind of even out in the wash. Let's slaughter a bunch of people because they're shooting at me, and so therefore they're okay. And you know what? Sorry, this is the problem I have with both the theatrical and the Ultimate Edition.
Mm-hmm.
That chase scene, when he shoots that cable out and grabs that like beaten down car and start dragging that along. That's probably one of those dumbest moves I've ever seen in any chase scenes, because it's like, okay, you're dragging along that car that's probably going to be slowing you down in the hopes that maybe somewhere along the way someone's going to stop in just a sore spot that you can use it to chuck at them. That takes a lot of really, really rare circumstances to come together in order for it to work. And thank goodness it did, because hey, shitty screenwriting.
Well, I mean, the chase scene itself was... Well, actually, the chase scene is a bit better in this cut, though, because when Superman stops Batman, his additional subplot actually made him randomly showing up to stop him, actually made it seem better in context, I guess you could say. But, yeah, it's like, I get that I mean, when it comes to Batman's behavior in this movie, I feel like it's partially justified because they actually bothered to give him character, in this movie. Like I said, Superman, my problem with him is that he feels more like a plot device in this movie because he's so defined by his character being deconstructed, That's been like my main issue so far with the Snyderverse. There's only 2 films so far, but so far in the Snyderverse, it feels like these characters are overly defined by the fact that they're being deconstructed, to the point where it's hard to really pinpoint what their personalities are like and all that jazz. And it's like I will gladly take the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the sometimes and them being much more lighter and being a bit more lighter in tone and what have you, having a lot more jokes over some of the stuff in the Snyderverse, because we can at least tell what these characters are like, and they seem more like actual people and what have you. Like, I've seen 1 or 2 people say that the Snyderverse is a better representation of our world, and I'm thinking, no, it's not. The MCU does a better job representing our world, really, because even though our world has a bunch of dark spots, there are still bright spots in it, a lot of bright spots. But I'm getting off topic. Going back to Batman, the fact that he still has the lion's share of character development really just doesn't do Superman any favors. And funnily enough, even though Batman gets more character in this movie, it still doesn't do anything to really add to the Martha sequence and what have you. In fact, it feels like it's almost less dramatic, I think, when you see it in the Ultimate Cut compared to the theatrical cut, because there was so much going on beforehand.
One thing that both the theatrical and the Ultimate Cut really kind of proved to me was that while Snyder is not the greatest director out there, David S. Goyer is a really bad screenwriter. I mean, I've looked through the list of movies he's written. I really can only pick out 3 that are good, and that's the Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And I really kind of credit that to more like he probably did like a first draft, and then Nolan and his brother kind of went over that. It was like nope, right, much better.
Yeah.
They put way too much faith in this guy, and he's not that good. He really isn't.
He apparently said that writing this movie would be like was when you run out of options or something like that.
That's the guy that you want to write your universe. No, thank you.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, go on.
So to wrap it up, guys. Why don't you? I want to hear you guys give a rating. I don't know if we did this when we did the theatrical, but why don't you give this movie a rating compared to the theatrical cut? How much improved or how much worse was it in comparison to the theatrical cut? So, for the theatrical cut, I gave that film a 4. It was just bad. Some good things about it, but overall it was a bad movie. The director's cut, I'll give it 5 5.5. Definitely better, but still not an overall great movie. And I'm not gonna lie, it does not give me any hope for Justice League at all. Despite what we saw at Comic-Con, but we'll get to that another time. So Colton, what would you rate the director's cut of BVS on a scale of 1 to 10?
Okay, so I remember giving the theatrical cut a 6, and for the ultimate cut, however, I would probably give it a 5. It's like
it went down.
It went down, yeah, because like I said, the improvements still didn't help. It's like the improvements to the story also wound up. I was saying when I was thinking about this movie, I felt like it simultaneously made it better and worse, and I felt like the bad just kind of outweighed the good in the end. Like it didn't help Clark's subplot. It gave him more character, but it still didn't help the end result because, like Mike and I said, the ending fight still was because Lex kidnapped his mother and gloated about it right in front of him, so he knew that Lex was behind it, meaning that this entire setup was pretty pointless, especially regarding Lex's big plan, which is so hard to put together that by the time we actually saw Clark and Bruce fighting, I was like, wait, who does Lex want dead now? And so yeah, that's where this movie stands. And also, the movie still doesn't explain how Lex splicing his DNA together with Zod's made Doomsday. It still makes no damn sense.
No, it doesn't. That was really stupid. And it doesn't change the fact that Doomsday looks horrible. All right, Mike, what about you?
You mean the cave troll, right?
You mean the Abomination?
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw the movie, when I first saw BVS in theaters, I ended up giving it 6. The second time I saw it, I bumped that down to like a 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exactly the opposite of you, Paul. For the ultimate cut, I gave it a 4.
Wow,
So I went from a 5.5 for the theatrical cut to a 4 for the ultimate edition. Narrative-wise, yeah, it did improve things. It made things flow a little bit better, but it just ended up amplifying what was, for me, the worst part of the movie. So, stub my toe. Oh, that's terrible. Let's take a hammer to it now. Yeah, there you go. That's better. That's pretty much what this movie felt like. Just taking a hammer to a stub toe.
2 final things that I really want to. I almost forgot about one. List them off pretty quickly. Is so the Congress scene. Yeah, it gets blown up, but I actually did like that they actually showed Clark trying to get people out of the building and what have you. That was all right, and
then he turns tail and runs.
Yeah, but at the same time, it also made me realize that it felt like the Ultimate Cut made it feel like there were 2 different movies happening at the same time. Because it felt like the Clark investigating investigating Batman thing was from an entirely different film almost. I think it's like Honest Trailers said. It was they were trying to do a sequel to Man of Steel at the same time that they were trying to do Dawn of Justice, and the 2 plots just
You're right, they were.
The 2 plots just didn't really mesh well together. Also, you finally got to see what Jenna Malone's rumored role in this movie was, and it was
nothing.
Just a random scientist that could have been played by anybody. I mean, it's Jenna Malone. I will take Jenna Malone in any movie I can get because I really like her and all that. She's a great actress. But I also felt like her scenes were actually edited into the wrong order. Like, when Lois shows up at the Daily Planet, she says that her science lab contents couldn't figure out what the bullet was like. But then but Jenna Malone's scene, she's Lois' science contact. She doesn't show analyzing the bullet until after that scene. So I'm thinking, was there a mistake going on in the editing room or what? And one final note is that's very odd and out of place nightmare sequence in the film where Bruce goes to it's apparently seeing the future, I guess, of the Injustice timeline. When I originally saw it in the theatrical cut, those soldiers that are following Superman started shooting up all Batman's people, I'm thinking, where the hell did those guys come from? In this movie, we actually see that they were in disguise, and that when they began attacking, they threw up their hoods and started shooting people up. I'm thinking, okay, now that makes sense. Well, I mean, their arrival made sense. That sequence in general was still very bizarre, especially the Flash is still out of nowhere. Cameo makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen to me now! Lois Lane! She's the key!
They they did add in a couple of lines like, "Am I too soon? Yeah, I think I'm too soon."
That was actually in
For
the
what?
also.
Too soon for what?
You're right
That
about him,
made no
Bruce.
goddamn sense.
You're always right about him. And I'm thinking, tell him who you mean. That's crucial information.
So what stuff they're probably gonna wind up.
If you have like 5 minutes to go back in time and tell a friend something, my suggestion is don't use pronouns.
You're right about Superman. You're always right about Superman.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that is gonna wrap up our show. Yeah, it didn't do. Overall, the director's cut really didn't improve much of anything, and I don't think any. We're all cringing for Justice League. Like, just please, God, don't let them fuck this up. All right, Colton, thank you very much for being here.
I was happy to be here, and thankfully you will no longer have to see me and my slightly angry personality, because Let's Get Shitty Month is over now.
Oh no, let it come out. We like seeing it. All right, Mike, it was a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, great to be here as always.
All right, and tomorrow we have a very special show. It's not going to be a main show. We got something very special going on tomorrow. We are going to be recapping all the headlines from San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. A lot of stuff happened, and we cannot wait to discuss it. So hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow to hear what we have to say. So we will see you tomorrow, and then next week, brand new month. We'll see you then. And it'll be a special episode because, with any luck, Caleb and I will be together on screen for the first time in over a year. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully, yeah, we'll see you next week. We'll see you tomorrow, and then next week, we'll see you later. Have a good day, everyone.
Force be with you.
Nerd crossover.